tifu by taking a girl I met online bouldering. Obligatory, happened last Saturday. I met this girl on Hinge during the week and we hit it off okay. Not that kinda first love hitting it off, but we got along well enough to warrant a date. I mentioned how I was a bit of a fan of bouldering. She seemed interested, so I invited her along to join me for a climb. We met up, and we started climbing. Well, I started climbing. She looked a bit nervous and asked if she could watch me climb one or two first. I obliged, climbed a few, then invited her to try some of the easier ones. She did really well getting to the top, had upper body strength, and was able to pull herself up, then she needed to get down. She looked a little stuck and hesitant to jump down. I encouraged her everything would be fine. So, she fell backwards, and landed on the side of her foot, breaking it in the process. At the time we didn't know it was broken. So we sat around and waited for the pain to go. It didn't, so in an attempt to salvage the date, I asked if she wanted to leave and get some lunch instead. She obliged. We went and got food. I got her an ice pack for her foot, then offered to drive her home, to the hospital. She was insistent she didn't like hospitals and just wanted to rest at home. The next day she texts me. Says she went to the hospital and had been sitting in there all day waiting for x-rays and such. Edit. I feel with how much traction this post got, it deserves a little edit. Thank you everyone for your comments and concerns. I have read them all and I will be ensuring something like this doesn't happen again. I should say I really am not that experienced bouldering. I've only been doing it for about 6 months. I know enough to get myself around and not look like an idiot. That's about it. Also, it seems like climbing gyms here in Australia are a little more relaxed on the rules around who needs to know how to fall. I've never been through any training, and have relied on my own knowledge, watching people around myself. Although, there's an instruction video we are encouraged to watch. When we went out for lunch I did offer to pay for the food. Then the ice cream we got. Then offered to drove her home. I just woke up, so I hope you all have a lovely day. Smiling face. Oh, and thanks for the reward strangers. Tifu took a secret trip to buy an engagement ring. Now my girlfriend thinks I'm cheating. I've been planning on proposing to me partner for a long time now. I've got this big surprise trip planned. And I've kept it on the down low perfectly so far. Today I learned now. The last thing I needed to do was buy an engagement ring. So I went to 2 different cities to browse engagement rings. Obviously keeping it a secret from her. Google Maps on my phone was logged into her Google account. Little did I know it tracks your every move and you can look at past journeys. She was looking at a recent journey she did. She works out of home office a lot. And saw that someone had obviously been to these different places and asked me about it. I'm a terrible liar. So I said I did go there but I can't tell her why. And now she thinks I've gone to see another girl. Tifu by cleaning my teen's room and finding her mature toy. My 17-year-old daughter is staying with her dad down at the shore for the week. So I wanted to surprise her with a clean room. I am not one to go through drawers or books. Her privacy is important. Now just to let you know, I have done this. I am the past for her. So it's nothing new to help her out. A quick make of her bed. Dirty clothes washed. And a vacuum was in desperate need. So I started to clean up. Her 3-year-old sister came in and wanted to see what was going on. So I sat her on the bed with some toys to occupy her. This is where is messed up. A few minutes later I hear this RRRRRRRRR noise and my toddler say, "Ooh, a pink gun, bang." Bang. I turn to look at her. She is sitting there with a pink vibrator. Pushing the vibrate button to shoot me I quickly said, No, that's not our toy, and put it under the blankets. Which is where I am assuming she found it. Then I took my toddler, turned out the lights and left the room. Tifu by ignoring my headaches. I've been having headaches off and on pretty consistently for about 3 years. I'd been to the doctor and it was always just, it's a sinus infection, or whatever, and I have migraines. Which are different, but I assumed that they were maybe connected, and I'm trying to get through cosmetology school, which is a nightmare by itself. I'm graduating in a week thankfully. Then my husband randomly and unexpectedly decided to add eye insurance this year. We've never needed it and don't wear glasses, but if we've got it might as well use it. I'd been having some spots in my vision and occasionally have blurry vision, but they'd gone away and I assumed it was just from looking at my screens too much. So a week ago I go in. They dilate my eyes. Horrible. Never had it done. I don't recommend. And the doctor spent a solid 15 minutes poking and prodding my peepers before telling me my optical nerve is very swollen. He rattled off a list of things it could be. My favorites were brain tumor and brain bleed. He said I needed to go to the and get an MRI immediately. While at the I get a contrast and non-contrast MRI. They find my brain is taking a bath in too much spinal fluid, so I get to sleep overnight on the neuro unit for a spinal tap in the morning. They do the spinal tap and drain as much fluid as they can off my brain. My opening pressure was 39. The doctor said they consider 25 to be high. They were able to get me down to 18. I got to home later that day. To treat it I take a pill every day. It's called IIH and likely explains my headaches. Why my migraines have been so much worse. vertigo, issues focusing, and blurry vision. Tifu by losing by my virginity. Posting this on an unused alt account, just needed somewhere to vent. Very recently, I, M26, lost my virginity by visiting an escort. As someone with pretty bad anxiety and self-esteem issues, my recent status as a 26-years-old virgin was like an invisible mark of shame for myself. Irrationally, I felt like I wasn't truly an adult, that I was a failure for being a virgin at this age. So, when the summer started and I was on break from college, I get the idea, why not visit an escort and finally lose my V-card? Logically, I knew losing my virginity wouldn't magically solve my anxiety and self-esteem issues. I also knew that actual sex isn't 100% like the pornos or hentai on the internet. Being a virgin, I knew it was very likely that I would underperform when I finally did it. I had simply hoped that I would at least remove one factor that was aggravating my anxiety. As I had predicted, unfortunately, I almost completely underperformed once the time came. Despite the skills and patience of the very sexy, understanding, and kind escort, I could barely get erect. And even when I did, I could barely manage a few movements before losing the erection. In the end, we ran out of time with me not finishing, which the escort felt terrible for, even though it was 100% my fault. However, objectively speaking, my experience actually wasn't that bad. Believe it or not, I actually did enjoy my time with the escort and it was a good learning experience. And I would love to visit the escort again in the future. The reason why this is a tifu is because while I lost my virginity, I still had severe anxiety. This anxiety then proceeded to mentally kick my ass, berating me for my sexual underperformance and for making the escort feel bad, making me irrationally view and analyze the experience 1000x worse than it actually was. Rather than taking a step in solving my anxiety and self-esteem issues, I may have inadvertently aggravated them even worse for the long term.